This week, in our final week 4, we have 3 chapters like we normally do. So we have chapter 12, services and nonprofit marketing, chapter 18, social media and marketing. Pretty soon, I think the social media and marketing will be its own textbook, a standalone textbook. Chapter 19, pricing concepts. Okay. In most cases, social media marketing costs much less than traditional marketing. Traditional marketing includes things like TV and radio ads or printing and mailing advertisements. So when it comes to our target market, it is much easier to hit your target market when you're using social media rather than traditional marketing. So using platforms, and I don't know if you guys have ever noticed on, or if you've managed a Facebook page. So having a business page or a page on Facebook or Pinterest, or I believe even Instagram, is quite different than just having a personal profile or a personal page that you manage. You get additional insights into your page, like traffic, people who are clicking on it. You can also purchase ads that are very targeted toward whomever you want. And gosh, it's been a while since I purchased an ad on Facebook, but it's really specific. Like you can pick a demographic as narrow as I want people within a certain radius. It could be like within a 5 mile radius, or this part of the world. You can hone it in very specifically. You can also hone in your target market audience to, you want your ad to be presented before people that make within a certain wage range, or people that like other posts or other pages. So you can say, if you were to try to market your book and say, okay, I want to purchase an ad and I want it to be for people that follow other encouraging pages or Facebook profiles. So it's very specific on likes, interests, demographics, age, whether they follow religious pages, all kinds of things. That it's very detailed. You can make it be as detailed as you want on that. Um, in addition, when you purchase a Facebook, or when you purchase an ad on Facebook, once you purchase those ads, it actually gives you reports. You don't even ask for it. They just automatically send you this information and show you where or how it's working. And they actually give you insights and suggestions on how to make it better, because they want you to sell your products, right? They want you to purchase more ads from them. So they really do make it easy for you to learn marketing. When you utilize social media, this helps marketers to potentially have a much larger impact with their efforts. Additionally, when marketers and businesses use social media, they're able to build relationships with customers very quickly and very easily. So, people posting reviews or posting comments, you can engage with that person. So, you as the marketer or as the business owner or whomever you are, when you post those ads on social media, you have the opportunity to interact with a much broader base of people than you would, whereas if you were just in a specific store. Okay, here is an example of an Instagram influencer. And so this is, I think it's less than a year old. So as an influencer, you can market yourself to a certain demographic right up front. And that is what this lady, Vanessa Amaro, has done. I don't personally know her or follow her, but I know that she's clearly a pretty popular influencer. So here you can see that she markets herself as the queen of cleaning right here. So she says she's a queen of cleaning. And at the time that this particular picture was taken, you can see that she had 5.7 million followers right there and over 110 million likes. It's a ton. Here's another influencer on Instagram. So this lady, Michaela Noguera, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, but she's a very popular makeup guru from what I hear, who has almost, look at this, and when this picture was taken, almost 15 million followers. I think that's just crazy. And then she has over 1 billion likes. Okay. I have a quick little video that I would like for us to watch. And this lady has become quite the influencer on YouTube.
GenStudio for Performance Marketing solves a challenge that marketers have been facing for a long time.
We're working in collaboration.
Selena Gomez promoting Coach handbags to her 146 million Instagram followers. Kim Kardashian has pushed everything from perfume to vitamins and even luxury brand Fendi. Little sis Kylie Jenner is in on the action too, seen here hawking her makeup palette on YouTube.
I made this the perfect palette.
And now, even your next door neighbor could be cashing in on the big business of being an influencer. 27-year-old Marial Marrero
I don't need more swimsuits in my life.
is a beauty and lifestyle social media influencer, paid by companies like Maybelline
So many great tips from them too.
and Estee Lauder to promote their products on her social media.
Honestly, I can't believe this is me. I can't believe this could be in stores.
She has more than 5 million Instagram followers and over 15 million subscribers on her 3 YouTube channels. A native of Venezuela, she launched her first YouTube channel 9 years ago on a whim.
I was in college in Venezuela and I decided I wanted to post my first YouTube video.
What were you studying?
Biology.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I know. It's very weird, but I've always loved makeup. And in biology, there weren't a lot of people that liked makeup that I could meet in school. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go make a video, post it online, and find people that like the same things that I like. It has a little screen, so I flip it and I just sit and talk.
We visited Marielle at her home in Los Angeles that doubles as her studio.
What do you roughly get paid per post, and what is the most you've gotten paid for something?
I wouldn't be able to give you an exact number, but
Ballpark?
I have a college degree. My husband has a college degree. He has an MBA, and we chose to do this. So you can make a good living from it.
Hi guys.
Marielle and her husband Gordo first moved to the US so he could attend grad school.
And he went to business school. I was home alone. So I was like, I'm going to start an English one. I need to talk to somebody. So I was like, I'll talk to the camera.
The YouTube videos were kind of like an outlet for you to practice your English.
Yeah, I was like, I have no friends, so I'm just going to find some online.
Did it work out?
I think it has. Just a few million.
There are so many, especially young women, trying to be influencers. What makes your account unique?
I ask myself that all the time. I'm like, why do you follow me? I'm just me being silly. I don't feel like there's anything special about me. Why? And I mess up and I show them that I'm not perfect. I'm not like, oh, you know?
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like that's why people follow me, because I'm me. I'm real.
Today, it seems like everyone is in a battle for the most clicks, because a big social media following can mean big money.
The very first hurdle to becoming an influencer is hitting 10,000 followers, but you're a certified influencer, if you will, at around 100,000.
It's currently 6 a.m.
17-year-old mega vlogger Emma Chamberlain was a typical teen from the Bay Area when she took YouTube by storm just 2 years ago.
Right now, we are driving around the DMV
Posting videos like this one.
for my freaking test.
She's now signed with a major Hollywood agency and partnering with teen fashion chain Hollister.
Hey everyone, I am Jasmine Brown.
Jasmine Brown began working with major brands like Walmart and Lady Foot Locker after being noticed for her fashion and beauty videos. And Sandy Ball launched into online stardom with her unique nail polish designs, now working with Sephora and Mattel.
Really big YouTubers and Instagram stars, they have agents, just like Hollywood. They have managers, they have publicists, because the best people are making tens of millions of dollars a year.
And it's not just fashion and beauty industry influencers who are cashing in. Take Dr. Mike Varshavsky, who promotes his healthy and germ-free lifestyle on his Instagram page. And teacher Kayla Delser promotes the latest educational technology on her Top Dog Teaching social media pages.
When you follow an influencer, you're not just following for the content that she posts, you're following her for her opinion, These are her 10 favorite products. Well, these are also your 10 favorite products.
There's also a dark side of online influencing. Take the large number of fake accounts that some influencers have following them.
It's a shortcut that plenty of people are tempted to take, and so they're tempted to do it, but it's always a bad idea.
A recent report reveals companies paid out $744 million to Instagram influencers last year alone. But $102 million of that money, meant to reach legitimate followers, was actually spent on fake accounts.
The whole point of being an influencer is that you have influence. If everyone following you is not a real person, you don't have any influence. You just have a bunch of followers.
And buyers of social media, beware.
Being a fitness influencer is my full-time job.
Fans of social media fitness guru Brittany Dawn accuse her of charging hundreds of dollars for her 60-day fitness and nutrition plans, some say without delivering on her promise.
And we never got anything back other than just, oh girl, you're doing so great. But I'm like, how am I doing great because I'm not losing weight?
Brittany Dawn posting an apology on her YouTube channel.
And I make mistakes. And that's what this video is here to do, to address it, to say that I am sorry.
But Marielle says the key to success is staying true to herself and working hard.
I always wanted to do something where I could have freedom and be creative. So in a way, this is perfect for me. It's what I wanted to do.
I mean, you're getting paid to be yourself.
Yeah.
That's a dream job.
It truly is.
For Nightline, I'm Romina Puga in Los Angeles.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube.
I thought that was interesting to see just a little snapshot of different kinds of influencers. So I have a question for you guys. Do you guys trust the recommendation of an influencer? And do you guys follow an influencer? So you can turn your video on or you can post in the chat. I'm going to stop my share. And looks like I have a...
Uh-oh.
No.
I want to see myself. Well, I don't really follow influencers, but I do follow like people that's like inspirational and stuff like that. Like self-help videos and stuff like that. But far as being a diehard follower, I'm just. But the one thing I did notice, a lot of them is working right at their house, like I am.
Yes.
They freaking rich.
Yes.
I need some of their money. That's what
Agreed. Yes. Yeah. No, I would consider someone to be that has like inspirational posts or different things. I would consider them to be an influencer as well, right? I mean, there are influencers among all industries. And I was thinking, as I was watching that, I thought, I don't have a lot of things that might that the guys would find interesting, but for whatever your interests are. I mean, whether you like to fix cars or if whatever it is, there's somebody on YouTube or any kind of social media that's influencing people. Oh, wait, so Betsy, I see that you're not really online that much. And yes, that's impressive. Yes.
Well, just like I said, I will just like someone that I look up to, or maybe it's a pastor that I listen to, or just like women that give. I just started this new group just for inspiration for myself. And the lady she's more of a self-help person. She's not an influencer. You think that's the same thing?
I do.
Okay.
Just a different category. There's different category. I mean, you can have influencers for fashion. You can have influencers. I mean, just even the lady who's the teacher, right? She's the public school. It looked like she was an elementary teacher. So she is influencing, people within her, whatever her genre is. I mean, even if it's like you collect puzzles, there's probably somebody that influences people that collect puzzles.
Right. You're right. So I guess it is kind of the same thing. So I would say yes then, because I do follow people that, just like I said, they give inspirational videos. I do hair. Some people, like if it's a person, like the girl that was on there, we in the beauty industry, you would go with me. I would go look at the top-notch people that do hair and watch their videos to see what they're doing. So
Yeah.
I get some of my tips and stuff from them because I got to stay, I'm 47. So I got to stay up with the now. So sometimes I'll go and say, or a younger person say, can you do such and such? I'll go watch a couple of videos and I always go pick someone that it looks like they've been doing hair for a long time to get some tips from them. And then I can go back and say, of course I know how to do that. And then sometimes it's something that we already did. They just don't put another name on it. That's I'm like, what? You said, can you? When they started, I don't know if you know this or not, but about this or not, but they started doing, and it's been a while now, but it's feed-in braids.
Oh.
Feed-in braids. And I'm like, this was 6 years ago now. I said, I have no clue what you're talking about. You don't know how to do feed-in braids? And I'm like, no. You just braiding hair in just like we've been doing. They just don't put a name on it. So I'm just like, yes, I know how to do that. So, and I have to do that, go do research for that too, because they take the stuff that we already have and the younger generation go slap another name on it. And I'm thinking it's something new. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta try this. And it's nothing new, you know. So
There's
yeah.
nothing new under the sun. And I think
No.
that's in all industries for sure. You know, even with fashion, we can look at fashion. We see things come in from, you know, decades ago that are back in style, just like 80s music is in style.
Bell bottoms is back again. And they come around like I promise about every 5 years. First they're out of style and then they're back in style. I tried to go get my niece some pants the other day and all the pants have bell bottoms on the bottom of them. I'm like, so I guess she got a little few of bell bottoms because that's all I can find. But yeah, you're right about that. So that, I mean, that's a good point. But I feel like with these influencers, I think it's okay to follow them, long as it's in a healthy way because, you know, younger generations is kind of obsessive nowadays. And I think
Just
you
as
can get
long
a
as you're
lot out of it.
cautious in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. You're right. You're right. You just have to be really cautious about what you're doing.
Good point.
But me, myself, I do videos too. I do videos for hair. I do videos for my book, mostly for my book. And I'm just starting to get used to being on the camera. So at first I would have to just record myself. And I'm like, I don't like that. Then I record myself again. I'm like, I don't like that. And then after a while, you just get used to it. And then I have that domestic violence thing I was talking about. And later on, when I feel comfortable, I'll get on there and start, you know, talking to the ladies. But I'm talking to them right now. But I'm not on the video.
I would consider you to be an influencer, Shantae, for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank
I
you.
mean, you technically are, you fit within that category for sure. And then I don't know if you guys saw those comments, but here, so Lacey says she follows someone, she doesn't care either way. And then Betsy says that you're a baby, Shantae. She's 63. She says,
Oh, well, thank you.
it's all in your perspective.
I don't feel like a baby, but okay.
Listen, I
But
think
thank you.
age, like, as long as you still feel young, then your actual number doesn't matter. Because
You
once
know
you start like, oh
Mhm.
God, I'm old, it's over, then it's like you're just waiting to die.
Oh my God.
I
Well, you know what? I'm gonna take that back because I just said the same thing to my daughter. My daughter's 31. Well, she turned 30 today. It was her birthday today.
Happy birthday.
And she didn't want to claim that she turned 30 today. And I told her that I could say that I'm 35 and she could say that she's 25, but it's not gonna match up. She can't be my daughter.
Your sister or something. Listen,
Agreed.
you want to hear something insane?
We
I
are.
have I'm 39 and I have a sister that just turned 10.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. And I have a brother that's 7 months younger than my daughter.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Well,
what
I
is
have
happening?
6 grandchildren, and my daughter has kids as same as my niece. I've been having my niece since she was born. So now they're like my kid with her, since I've been having her, they're sister cousins. And she's 5, and she be telling them, y'all don't tell me what to do because she don't. She feel like they kids. They're kids. You don't tell me what to do. And it's the truth. So I do understand. I do.
For sure.
Well, I appreciate you guys sharing. It's fun that we have influencers in this group for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So we have yeah. And for those for the guys, I would be interested to know, you guys haven't posted on there, but I would like to know, because we all follow different kinds of influencers, probably more than what you realize. So I follow some people that do Zoom teachings through Zoom, or I create my PowerPoints through Canva. So I follow some influencers that are on the cutting edge of how to create things in Canva, just kind of like you, Shantae. So
Yes.
what your craft is, social media is a great way to increase your knowledge for that.
Yes.
In an easy way too.
Yes.
So I may be preaching to the choir here. You guys may already know this. This is probably about a month old, and I got this from Influencer Marketing Hub, where it shows how what these people make per post. So on certain posts that they have, could you imagine making this much money? And it literally, you can go to influencermarketinghub.com and you can see that that's what they make per post.
Wow. I just need a little bit of their money.
Those are some Instagram top earners right there. Okay. I also, so whenever I first started teaching this class, I thought, I wonder if there are any Oklahoma influencers. So is there hope for Shantae? Can she become, self-employed as an influencer, or any of you guys or anyone in the state of Oklahoma? Because, we have some interesting industries, even though we're in the Midwest and, we're landlocked. We have some cutting edge things when it comes to filmmaking and, various things. So I did a little bit of research. This is probably 45 days old, I think is the last time I updated. So I would say this is pretty accurate. So basically what I did is I got on Indeed and ZipRecruiter. So, and just kind of gathered some information. And according to ZipRecruiter, they really tout that even Oklahomans can earn a living as a social media influencer. So when I did this search, I found that there were over 40 jobs available in our state, and the average annual salary for an influencer living in Oklahoma was $64,000. And quite honestly, I was pretty surprised at that. And honestly, I thought the salary was a little bit higher than what I expected to be here in Oklahoma, because it's not like we have some big
Right.
city, where we have access to lots of things. According to Forbes Advisor, and I've got it noted down here. So for ForbesAdvisor.com, in 2023, 77% of businesses use social media for marketing. Now, of this particular grouping, 44% of these businesses use social media to build brand awareness, and 41% of them also depend on social media to help generate sales. Now, from a consumer standpoint, 90% of users follow at least one brand on social media, and 76% of users have purchased something that they saw on social media. I can definitely say I have fallen prey to that.
Yes.
Now, globally, the average person spends about 145 minutes on social media every day, or approximately 2.5 hours a day. Now, here in the US, we spend slightly less than on the global average, but we still in the US, we still spend an average of 2 hours and 7 minutes per day on social. Forbes states that to put this into perspective, if the average person maintained this usage over an average lifespan of 73 years, the end result is that that particular person spends 5.7 years of their life on social media platforms. I thought that was pretty crazy to think about.
That is.
Now, even though the average social media user has accounts for about 6 to 7 different platforms, but here in America and globally, Facebook is still the most visited social media platform, and YouTube is the second most visited platform. When we talk about price from a marketing standpoint, we are defining it as something that is given up in exchange for acquiring a good or service. Now, from the opposite perspective, consumers are interested in obtaining a reasonable price. So, a reasonable price really means perceived reasonable value at that time of the transaction. So the author of our textbook claims that trying to set the right price is one of the most stressful and pressure-filled tasks for a marketing manager. The book presents many different types of pricing tactics, and this Ford Fusion ad is an excellent example of what they call bait pricing. And I copied this particular ad from the Federal Trade Commission's website. So this was a real ad. This type of ad at one point, they're no longer allowed to use it, but this type of pricing is very deceptive. And unfortunately, it is not uncommon. So marketers attempt to get customers into the store through misleading advertising and then use high pressured selling to persuade the customer. And I'm sure we've all witnessed that to some extent or another, at least known someone that that's happened to. But in the instance of this particular ad, the auto dealer got into pretty big trouble with the Federal Trade Commission because the advertised discounts and prices were not available to a typical customer. And in addition to that, the discounts only applied to specific and more expensive models than what was listed on this particular ad. So it was very deceptive. Another pricing tactic is the odd even pricing, and this is also called psychological pricing. Psychologists believe that if a consumer purchases an item that costs $19.99 instead of $20, the consumer believes that they're paying a much lower price. And in contrast, marketers will not use this tactic when selling prestige items such as a fine perfume or a Rolex watch or maybe a high-end luxury car. Demand is the quantity of a product that will be sold in the market at a particular time and point. For instance, let's say that a Lowe's manager estimates that he will sell 10,000 Christmas trees in the month of November, and he estimates that he'll sell 20 Christmas trees in the month of July. So supply is the quantity of the product that will be offered to the market at a particular point of time. Now, because Lowe's knows that customers purchase more Christmas trees in the month of November than in July, Lowe's will have a much larger stock of Christmas trees in November than they have during the month of July. Now, the elasticity of demand is the consumer's responsiveness or sensitivity to changes in that particular price. So, the greater the sensitivity or responsiveness that the customer has to that price increase, the greater the elasticity of demand becomes. When we say that there is an elastic demand, we are actually saying that the consumer is very responsive or sensitive to the price change. So common examples of products with high elasticity are brand name cereal or candy bars, and lower priced generic cereal and candy bars are easily replaced with lower priced items. If we're talking about something that's inelastic, these would be products that are considered inelastic because they are sold at about the same rate even when the price changes. So common examples of products that fall within this category are things like utilities such as electricity or water, right? So we as consumers, we're still going to air condition our homes in the hot summers regardless of what that price is. Now we might turn our thermostat down a little bit or make some changes, but we're still going to purchase electricity and water. So those things would be considered inelastic. Now, I have a video, just a quick video, that I think does an excellent job of explaining dynamic pricing. And this type of pricing continues to rise here in the US. So we'll take just a second to watch this.
You want a straightforward path to your goals. The real world has other plans. But with Merrill, the bull has your back, and you get a new perspective on your whole financial life.
On a Monday at 3 p.m., outside of rush hour traffic, a car from Times Square to Central Park in New York might cost you around $17. Now fast forward 3 hours. As more people are looking for cars, that same ride might cost closer to $24. If you've taken a trip like this or bought a plane ticket, you know to expect big price swings based on demand, time, or location. But did you know that those price swings are happening all over the economy, and often in places where you might not expect, like on your laundry detergent or even a blouse? These changes are part of a high-tech and fast-spreading strategy called dynamic pricing. And as prices around us are rising faster than they have in 4 decades, to understand why things cost what they do, you have to understand how it works. Dynamic pricing is a strategy businesses use to change their prices automatically and ensure that they are offering the optimal price at any given moment in time.
And that basically means that they're varying their pricing essentially based upon market conditions. So things like cost, what their competitors are doing, and even demand.
Because those factors can change quickly, some businesses are updating prices more often. In February, 75% of retailers on QuickLizard, a pricing software platform, said they increased how often they update their prices in the last year. So where can you spot dynamic pricing other than rideshare companies and airlines? You probably recognize it with gas prices, where the price of a gallon can change daily. Or on Amazon, which has been using dynamic pricing for years. Their changes are usually less noticeable, but they allow Amazon to determine the most competitive price for everything from electronics to household items. For example, here's the price of these Tide Pods over a day at the beginning of April. In the morning, it hit $21.49. By noon, it dropped to $21.24. And by evening, it had dropped even lower to $19.99. A spokesperson from Amazon said the company's prices fluctuate so they can meet or beat the lowest competitive price from other retailers. But this is what dynamic pricing looks like in action, and you may start seeing similar strategies in brick-and-mortar stores too. Chains like Kohl's and Best Buy have rolled out electronic price tags, some of which almost look like paper price tags, making it easier and quicker to change the price on, say, a display of televisions.
All right, so I'm at Best Buy and they got Lego, and that's cool and all, but check it out. They're moving to all digital price tags.
And the supermarket chain Kroger has tested digital labels that can change prices on items in seconds. But seeing these frequent price changes in stores can be surprising for customers.
If you chat with someone who's in the grocery store on a week-to-week basis, they know how much they're paying for a dozen eggs, they know how much they're paying for a gallon of milk, they know how much they're paying for, their fruits, their vegetables. And when those types of prices change, people can be very resistant and it can be a big turnoff.
But under certain conditions, companies are willing to take the risk.
Companies will go to dynamic pricing when more traditional ways of pricing are no longer working for them. So maybe they have previously changed their prices once a quarter, maybe once a month, and they're starting to notice that their costs are shifting so much throughout the month or the quarter that their margins are getting squeezed more than they would like.
When most businesses decide to start using dynamic pricing, they use software to track various factors.
There will be a range, a huge number of algorithms whose role is, again, to mimic the choices that humans make. But because it's being done in an automated way, we're able to set prices much more frequently or much more granularly than if you're doing it without the automation.
A dynamic pricing algorithm for a gas station might look at the cost of fuel, competitor prices, and alternatives that customers might have.
What dynamic pricing would allow me to do is, instead of having, a single point of view that is driven by the price of crude, I actually could have a very granular point of view on individual competitors and what my delivered cost is of the fuel, and then execute those price changes on a very frequent basis.
But that algorithm might look different for a grocery store. They might look at competitor prices, but they also might consider cost of goods and what they know customers are willing to pay more on. But even if a business uses dynamic pricing, those rules might not affect everything you buy there.
There are a few exceptions where prices are largely fixed and they're actually being set by the manufacturer. Examples of that would be jeans. There's certain types of sneakers or athletic apparel where the manufacturer also sets the prices. And then prestige cosmetics is a third where you see a lot of manufacturer set pricing. But beyond that, where the retailer is actually able to set their price, dynamic pricing can be applicable across the store.
As more companies use dynamic pricing, you might start noticing it more often, especially during periods of inflation like the one we're in now.
You could be, visiting a store that has been using dynamic pricing for a long time, but now you're noticing that the prices of things are changing a lot. And that's not because they're doing something different, that's because the inputs are changing more frequently.
The adoption of dynamic pricing is expected to continue, and mom and pop shops and local retailers are starting to experiment with it, as well as big box stores.
Until recently, I did not realize how much dynamic pricing was being utilized. I mean, I knew that it was on Amazon, and some of you may have apps on your laptop or your phone like I have. I have the Honey app, which tells me, like as I'm searching for something online, even like on Amazon, if I'm looking for a particular product, Honey will pop up on the side and say, oh, you can probably find this cheaper at this site, or this is a peak time that where the price is pretty high. You might want to wait, and it'll show me a little graph of when the price is going to go up or down. Of course, that doesn't help me when I'm, if I'm shopping in Kohl's or somewhere like that. But I remember when Kohl's moved to those signs, the price signs, where they were I just thought they were just upgrading their signs. I really thought that they were paper signs. I did not realize they were digital signs for a while. But it's definitely pretty sneaky. So the next few topics that we're about to cover are from chapter 12 and relate directly to the discussion post for this week. So in the United States, our gross domestic product, or our GDP, and the amount of income that we generate within our country comes from services that are provided. So when we talk about services, we're referring to things like, not only things like what Shantae provides or what Devonna provides, when she's making her cakes or her goods. We're also talking about things like medical care, legal assistance, or computer repairs. So only 30% of our revenue that we generate within our country now is from products like cars, electronics, or home goods. When we talk about services, we have 4 unique characteristics that distinguish them from goods or products. The first thing is something intangible. Please excuse my little typo there. So the first one is something that is intangible. So the first way that makes services unique is that they fall within this category. So this means that they cannot be touched, seen, tasted, heard, or felt in the same manner that goods can be sensed. So because of this, it makes it very difficult to evaluate the quality of that service. For instance, if I need to purchase a good computer, I can do an online search and I can compare the amount of money that one computer costs, or the amount of memory that one particular computer has compared to the amount of memory from another computer. I can also compare the monitor size, right? Do I want a big one? Do I want a small one? Do I want one that's shaped a little bit differently? Also, I can actually go to a physical store and look at the differences between the competing brands. I can actually touch the keyboards and decide which size or which type that I prefer. However, if someone wants a new hairstylist, there's less information upon which to draw when trying to decide where to go. So the search quality is much less for finding a hairstylist when compared to finding a new computer. So a search quality is a characteristic that can be easily assessed before the purchase. Another thing that we can think about when it comes to those intangible items is, how you assess the services rendered by that particular person. So, if you hire someone, a new hairstylist, you not only do you consider the amount, and Shante can probably talk about this a lot, because not only does the person care about what their hair looks like when they leave, they also evaluate, whether they realize it or not, they're evaluating the hairstylist on how they felt whenever the services were rendered. What kind of experience did they have?
Yeah.
Yeah, was my hairstylist listening to what I said? So, did she consider all those things? So, then also when you do your assessment of it, a lot of times, when you're talking about your hairstylist, you may not even make that assessment that first day. So, maybe your clients sometimes feel amazing whenever they leave, but then it's not, they're going to continue to evaluate you based on what it's like the next day or even a week after, right? So how does that quality remain?
Well, one thing I would say about the finding of the hairstylist with my service is really easy because the way I advertise, like you can Google my hair salon and you can Google me, and when you Google me, you'll see all the styles and stuff that I do. So that's really easy for my side. Far as the customers, with me is just, well, the way to keep your customers is just being yourself and having a good attitude and trying your best to accommodate whatever they're trying to get at that time, and to make sure that you're welcoming and smiling. Now, it's like you said, they may feel a way at first and they may leave and feel a different way. So you're right about that. So
Yes. And it also depends on what's going on in their life too. So that, it doesn't matter what you do. If they're just having a really rough day, there may not
yes.
be a whole lot that you can do about that, which
I have had a lot of women. Most of all the women that I do, they're regulars, but I do get some that pop in and out. Like right now, I'm doing the 5 Little Angels special, so I'm getting different walks of life.
Yes.
And so in the 5 Little Angels, I do 5 little girls' hair for free, right? So just recently, I got a little girl, and she's kind of like my niece. They kind of got neglected at birth. And that little girl, she gave me such a hard time. And it wasn't that she didn't want her hair done. She didn't have any discipline or anything. And so she ended up loving Miss Shante. And when I tell you, it was a chore. I think that was the hardest head I ever did in my entire doing hair. I was like, oh my good, no discipline at all. And I did tell her sister, I said, she has no discipline, but as long as she come around me, we're gonna get this in check. I got 6 grandchildren, so we're gonna have little talks. So it ended up going really well. Her and my niece has the same situation with their mothers. They got along really, really well. That helped me a lot. And then another thing that helped me a lot, because I have children and grandchildren, so I knew how to handle her. And I actually got her to the point where she was saying, yes, ma'am, okay, So next time she comes, because the deal is they get their hair done, but they have to make an appointment and they have to be a regular. So she's going to come on a regular basis. So as she comes as a regular basis, then I get the kind of, help her a little bit, with her little attitude and all the things that she's going through. But she's going through something. She don't have her mother. She's someone else is taking care of her. So she's a little client, but she's going through something. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
yeah. Still a person.
Yep. She's still a person, and she sure let me know she was a person too.
Oh, that sounds like an awesome outreach that you're doing. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I do it once a year. And if there seems like the need is greater, then I'll do it more. But sometimes if I slow down, that's when I do it the most, and that generate customers too, because they're gonna come back. So
Sure.
that's the whole thing. So some of my girls, well, they were teenagers, but I had them since they was 15, 16. They going off to college. So now I'm trying, now I got to get me some more little kids in, because my little kids done grew up and went on about themselves. And so that's how you get customers too. And then just like I said, the word of the mouth, passing out flyers, passing out cards, going to the beauty supplies. That's what I do to get, and Facebook and Instagram. So it does well. And Google. So you can Google Shantae crochets and twists. I'm going to come up. And sometimes if they just put in crochets, I come up. I'll be the first person to come up. So that's why I'm saying with me, it's not hard to find me. It's very easy.
You're very creative. You've done a good job of marketing yourself for sure.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. You're welcome. All right. So another thing that I wanted to mention is credence quality, which falls within those intangible things. So when we talk about credence quality, we're talking about a characteristic that consumers may have difficulty assessing, kind of like what we talked about, even after the purchase, because they do not have the necessary knowledge or experience. Here's a different example. Years ago, my family and I, we had a plumbing issue at our house. Now, a friend of mine emphasized the importance of hiring a reputable plumber with a high credence quality, since plumbing repairs often involve hidden issues. And, a lot of times only skilled professionals can actually accurately diagnose and fix a plumbing problem. So that would be considered a credence quality. Okay, the third thing, so that was that we want to talk about on these services are inseparable. So when a customer purchases a good such as an iPhone, or the Apple manufactures the phone, so the customer actually purchases it through the store and then takes it home and uses it typically over at least the next year. But when a customer purchases a service such as a visit to the doctor's office, that customer shows up to the doctor's office, receives that service like a vital check from the nurse and a consultation with the doctor, and then leaves with the conclusion of the service. Services like this, like in medical care or even a haircut, are considered to have inseparability, because the consumer must be present during the production of the services, such as the medical care or the haircut. And in addition, the customer is actually involved, right, in the production of the services they purchase. So this type of consumer involvement is rare when you think about goods manufacturing, like an Apple iPhone, right? So the quality of the service provided by a company like St. Francis, who provides medical care, or Shantae's Salon, it's dependent on the quality of their employees, such as the individual nurse or doctor or whoever's doing the hair. Another or a third way that services differ from goods or services differ from goods is that services are considered to be heterogeneous. When we talk about services that have a greater heterogeneity, or we're talking about variability of inputs and outputs, and they tend to be less standardized and less uniform than an actual good, like you're purchasing an iPhone or you're purchasing a laptop. So let's think about this in a less technical way. So if I purchase an iPhone 15 from an Owasso store, and let's say one of you here in the class, you go and purchase an iPhone 15 from a Tulsa store, and then if my friend Evelyn purchases an iPhone 15 in Mexico, all three of us will have the exact same functionality of that particular iPhone if we all got an iPhone 15. The only difference may be the color or the storage capacity, but all the functions will be consistent across the board, regardless of where we're at. Services have a much greater variability. So for several years, my general physician was a doctor at Owasso Warren Clinic. And because I was not satisfied with the type of care that he provided, I switched to a doctor within the same small building complex and received a completely different type of care. Now, even though I was still utilizing the services of a medical doctor at the Owasso Warren Clinic, there was a high variability of care. And because the services are unique to the personality and to the individual skill set, consistency and quality control can be really hard to achieve. Now, companies strive to have standardization and specific and consistent training to overcome this issue, but it really takes a ton of time. It takes a lot of effort and energy and money when it comes to that. And then the final thing that I want to bring up is perishability. So this is a final fourth characteristic of services, is that they are perishable. So if you go to Shantae's salon and you get your hair done, you know, it's only going to last so long. It doesn't mean you can't go for the rest of your life and never get your hair done. It's perishable. So that means that the services cannot be stored, they can't be warehoused, and they can't be inventoried. Okay, so I have a question for you guys real quick. Can you think of an example of when you received either really good care or really bad service? And we'll try to make it quick because I realize we're getting on now to 8:30. But you could either turn your mic on or post in the chat. I'll stop my share because it looks like I have some chats here. Messages. Oh, and let me bring you back, Jenna. I'll put you on the front row. How about that? No worries.
Yes, that's where I need to be. I would always sleep in class, so that's where I would have to stay all the time when I was in school.
Okay, so any comments about how services are perishable or different? You guys have any insight on that?
Well, I'll say something if nobody's going to say anything. I've switched doctor's offices just like you did because I was at OSU, and the service was just kind of like McDonald's. They just hurry up and see you and get you out of there. Versus OU, they do an in-depth take and they check everything on you, even if they don't have to, and they set up different stuff for you to do, like exams, like if you need to get a mammogram or whatever. They make sure, or you need your blood pressure checked or whatever have you. They have a list of things that you are required to do in a year's time every year. And I didn't have that at OSU. And then if you don't do it, they call you and say, hey, it's time for this and that. And I'm like, really? Or they'll go above and beyond and set it up for you. I'm just like, why? I'm mind blown, because when I was going to OSU, I wasn't getting that kind of treatment. And now I get like front row service, and they make sure that they're taking care of you and you're taking care of yourself and you making sure you get into all your appointments. So, yes.
That's awesome. I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
And I see your comment too here, Rosemary. I feel like it's all over across the board. It seems like COVID. Yeah. Yes. Since COVID, definitely our healthcare industry has changed on, it seems like every level for sure.
Yeah.
But, you know, I like that. And I like that system that OU's put in place for you, where they're being proactive and telling you about those things.
Yes.
You know, and then it kind of makes me think about like membership subscriptions for something that you might subscribe to, you know, just like our Netflix stuff, you know, you, rather than paying it one time, most of us are set up, either you're automatically paying it once a year, or it's coming out of your account, whether it's Netflix or if you're doing Amazon or whatever it is. It doesn't seem to matter what the product or what the service is. Everybody has a membership, you know, even Taylor Swift has the membership stuff. So, and I see your comment here too, Betsy, your doctor's office. Yes. And
I have a horrible customer service story, but I don't have It's not a doctor's office. So my TV, I rent my TV, rent to own, and it went down. And this was a month ago. And I've called every week 2 or 3 times, and nobody knows anything or where it's at or when it's coming back. And it's like, I am paying a ridiculous amount of money for this stupid TV. The least you could do is tell me where my stuff is or when I'm going to get it back, or like, why am I still paying for this if you're not giving me, you know what I mean? Like, there's no timeline whatsoever. So it's very frustrating.
Especially if you're paying the money.
Yes.
So you're paying for
So-
something you're not getting.
Yes. And it's very, like, they gave me a loaner, but you can tell that it's the TV that was like in the shop because the remote only half works. It doesn't turn up the TV. Like, so I have to use 2 different remotes. I mean, it's insanity. So I called today and he was like, well, hopefully it'll be on the truck today. And I was like, perfect. That's exactly what I want to hear. Like, oh my God, I'm never going to get my TV back.
Yes.
That's
So
frustrating.
when we find companies that have good customer service, I mean, my goodness, we get pretty excited nowadays, don't we?
Yes. And it's sad. Like, I have worked in customer service most of my life. And so it's frustrating that we get crappy customer service more often than not. Like, when I get bad customer service, it irritates me so bad.
I have a hard time trying not to be irritated with that. I'm working on that.
Yeah.
I'm
I
not,
just walk
'cause
away.
I would tell them, I'm gonna tell you something. This is your job, and if you don't like your job, you need to get another one. I tell them that all the
Yes.
time. Because
Yes. Why
what
is
I
that so
don't,
difficult?
yes, but one thing I don't like is when they already think they know you, or you cannot even get out what you're trying to tell them because they already got this paper that just already telling them what to tell you. And so
Yes.
I have to stop them and say, wait a minute, you haven't even listened to what my problem was, and you already trying to tell me what to do. I said, so listen to me. Look, I say this all the time. I hate it, but I feel like a little kid, like, here I am, here I am, here I am. Listen to me first. And then you can get some input, but you didn't even hear what my problem is. Well, it's probably this. Or I barely get it out and they over talking you already. I'm just like, okay, all right. So when you get done, then I'm going to go through and tell you what the problem is. Or let me finish my sentence. So I have got so good at this. So I know how to stop them in their tracks. Okay, listen. This is what you have to say. Listen to me.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then they'll shut up and then you can go ahead and say what you need to say. So
Hopefully.
hopefully.
Hopefully. Yes.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about how to evaluate service quality from a perspective of the customer. So pay close attention to this next little bit because I'm going to go through it quickly here. But this is what you're required to use or write about on this week's discussion post. So on this specific information. So one criterion of evaluation is reliability. So customers want their service to be dependable, right? If we're paying for a subscription service, we want it. We want it to work right. And we want it to consistently work. So just like we talked, or just like Jenna mentioned, right? So we want it to be the same. Now, when those expectations are not fulfilled, even just one time, most of us, or a lot of us, will at minimum consider finding an alternative to that. So
Absolutely.
right? So that we're not paying for something that we're not getting. So that would be reliability. The second thing would be responsiveness, which is very closely related. And we've talked about this, right? So this second criterion is about the responsiveness. Just like Shantae said, are you listening to me? Like, how well are you responding to what I'm actually saying? Or are you just assuming what I need? So that is another way that customers evaluate service quality. And then third is assurance. So customers need assurance that the service offered can be trusted and that they'll not be mistreated. So just like you mentioned, Jenna, you keep calling back and you're like, okay, are you going to take care of this? So they are not doing, the company that you're utilizing, in my opinion, is probably not doing a good job of assuring you that they're going to take care of you. So, whether it's our TV or our hair or a medical doctor, whatever it is, whether it's something of little importance or great importance, if we're spending our money on it, we expect these certain things.
Absolutely.
And then the fourth thing is empathy. So this is another way that we evaluate service quality. And I like to describe empathy as having the ability to see something from someone else's perspective. So Shantae's example of her 5 little angels that she's talking about. So the little girl that she took care of the other day, fixed her hair. I would say that Shantae had excellent empathy. So you weren't just seeing her as a customer, or just, not only were you seeing her as a person, you were seeing her as the person she was at the particular point she was in her life, what she was experiencing.
Yes.
And then you responded to that with empathy. So you treated her much different than you would treat someone that would be, my age and
Right.
who knows how to mind or sit there or listen or whatever. So you adjusted what you needed to because you had great empathy for her. Then a fifth thing that we evaluate service quality on would be tangibles. So this includes all things that would be considered physical evidence of the service. So examples of tangibles in being in the waiting room of Discount Tire, or the patient in the doctor's office, or sitting in the, Shantae's salon, we would consider the appearance of the facility. We would consider the atmosphere, like, at our favorite restaurant, we would consider the whole entire atmosphere, not only the customer service that we get or the food that we consume. We're taking in the music, the noise level, what's going on. We take in all those things, whether we realize it or not. Now, in this week's discussion post, you are asked to research these 5 criteria for evaluating service quality. So again, reliability, responsiveness, assurance, empathy, and tangibles. And that's all listed there on that discussion post. But you are asked to discuss how businesses market their products or services using these 5 criteria. Now, if you want to pick, a business like your doctor's office, or if you want to pick your business and talk about how you address those, or, and you can use a really good example, or maybe you pick something, like Jenna, maybe you pick your TV place, the rental place that you're utilizing, and ways that they didn't do well on those things, and ways that you think that they could improve, or what they could actually do to improve. So
fire everyone and start over.
Right.
Pay your TV off and don't use that service anymore. I was gonna say give it back, but you saying you paying on it, so I'm like, oh well, I don't know what to say about
Well,
that.
my thought process is like during Black Friday is just going, because it's a 65-inch TV. Is it absolutely ridiculous and I need it? Probably not, but I want it. So my thought is, if I can go during like this Black Friday week or something and buy one for, next, because I'm paying like $1,300 for this TV. Like,
oh my
God. So
you
I
can
could
get
go
on
and spend
Facebook Marketplace and find you a TV for way cheaper than that.
Yeah. So,
but
that's my
maybe
plan.
you probably just needed it really bad at the time, because I understand that. I had to I'm not shy at all, but I went through a divorce, and when I went through my divorce, I had to buy a lot of things over, and one thing I left was my bed. So my kids had a twin bed, and they were still little at the time. They're big now. We couldn't do this now, but at the time they was little boys. And so I let them share one twin, and I had one twin, but me still being little, a twin bed was really hard to sleep in. So I rented a bed from some furniture company. But it was building up, I was like, by the time, after a month's time, I could have bought a bed. So I eventually just sent it back to him, and I found the bed. Well, my son found me a bed on, for a little bit cheaper, I'll say. And what I'm saying to you is sometimes you feel like it's just a need. It's a need, but is it worth spending all of that money when you can go find it somewhere cheaper? That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
I'll shop with you. I don't have a problem. I always help you find a TV.
Perfect. Let's go.
So if you guys find a good deal on TVs, well, you'll have to message Jenna and let her know that
Absolutely.
TV. Okay, any questions about the discussion post or the assignments for this week? Any questions or comments?
No, not for me.
Not for me.
Okay, and I saw your comment there, Betsy. She says she uses a lot of empathy at work right now because she works at a condo vacation place and they're painting it. So some of the balconies are closed. Yeah, I might be a little upset if I were on the beach and my balcony is closed, right? And I don't know if y'all saw Amanda's post. She was like, "Listen, Linda," which was exactly what I was thinking about when Dante was like, "Amanda, you read my mind."
Yeah.
Well, I get it all the time because I sound real young. I look real young. And I always get people to just start to, if we on video or if we on the phone or even in person, and I have a young voice, so they thinking, oh, she's just a little girl. So I'm just gonna, no, you're not. Hold on. You don't know who I am first. And then they be like, okay, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. You got to set them straight because they'll talk all over you, run all over you. You just got to make your voice be heard.
Absolutely.
I will tell you, working in customer service a lot
Mhm.
lot of customer service agents, they have scripted
Yeah.
wording that they have to read. It's certain words because there's certain points they have to address with each member to reach their metrics in their
Yeah, and
system.
and that's what I said in the beginning. But what I'm saying is, we haven't even got to that. They don't even let you get your words out to even know what no to say because they want to overtalk you. I didn't mean it that. I mean, that ain't how I meant it. Because I said it is a script, but they're not even going off the script. They're just trying to overtalk you. I'm not saying that because I know you have certain things that you do have to say, or they say, if they say car, then you need to say this. I know that because that's what I said earlier. But what I'm saying is, I can't even get the car out. I can't even get at whatever I'm trying to say out before they already trying to convince me that they already know what I'm calling for. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I used to work for Apple, so I understand completely. So
yeah,
for a lot of them, and it's both ways. I can see it on both sides. Just working from that side because I would be telling a customer, unplug your TV. Well, what good is that going to do me? I'm like, unplug your
Yes.
TV and then plug it back in and then see if it will start because you unplugging that TV loses that connection that your Apple service has, with the Apple TV, and it'll reset it. But in their mind, they're like, no, they don't understand how that's going to help it. So I can see it from both sides.
Me too.
And I do empathize a lot with customer service people. Mind me, there is a few that I have been like, boy, I just want to take you by your shirt and just shake you. But I do, I hold myself back because I'm like, okay, they're young, it's a different generation than what we grew up in, or, you always got to put yourself in their shoes because we don't know what that person personally is going through every day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
In their own mentality, and some of them might not have time to do self-healing or, get to work on themselves the way they would like to, or be able to take, just time out for themselves
Well,
versus
that's good.
other people's might. But yeah, so I always look at it both ways. And if they're just being just ugly, even though you're being nice and being really, really reasonable and going above and beyond, and they still just want to be stink about it, then it's a different situation.
Right.
Yeah. But
Like
that's
I
good
said,
that you can have empathy and even think that far about it, because some people don't even care about all of that. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
yeah,
They do
and that's
not.
sad because that's what should be taught to them on their jobs in
Yes,
that role.
you're
That's
right.
what should be taught to them, but it's not. It's like read this script, get this done, get them in, get them out, and get the next call.
No, we're
And that's
humans.
what it's
You
more
have to
focused
treat
on.
people as human. And I
Right.
think that's why I build a lot of relationships myself, and all the things that I do in my life is because I show empathy and I do invest in trying to get to know what that person is going through. But the reason I'm like that, because I've been through a lot. So I like the way you think, because everybody don't think that way. They don't care. They just this hurry up generation. Let's get it done. And they don't want to hear you telling them what to do. I don't even know what they called you for, because they gonna tell you.
Right. Exactly.
And I'll tell you right now, if I'm being nice with them and they just still like if they have attitude with me, it's not even that they're having a bad day, they just have attitude. I'm like, escalate my call to the supervisor. I'm like, I don't even want to deal with you no more. Let's just go
Yeah.
ahead and escalate this call. And then you'll see a difference. You'll see a difference in them being like, oh, well, let me see if I can help you. They won't want to escalate. I'm like, and I'll tell them, this is the third time I'm telling you to escalate my call. Escalate my call or give me your corporate number so that I can call your corporate on you. And
Yeah.
then they'll give in to you more and be like, oh, okay, well, I better do what she's asking then. But I
Right.
did have a problem with AEP the other day, PSO. The girl refused to transfer me to the supervisor. And she's like, if you don't have anything further, then I'll just disconnect the call. I'm like, so you're going to disconnect my call when I've asked 3 times for you to escalate my call to your supervisor.
Because it's a new thing. You should know
She
this
and-
is a new generation. So now it's been said to try to get away from, like, if you say, let me speak to your supervisor, I am the supervisor. No, you're not. Or
Yeah. Right.
hang up on you. So,
Yeah, well-
so they won't get in trouble. That's what that is.
Yeah, in this instance, I was needing to talk to them because we had made a payment and it wasn't showing up in our account and we had our receipt. She didn't want to transfer me. She was willing to disconnect my call. And then I'm like, okay, give me your corporate number because this is unacceptable. And she's
Right.
like, well, someone will call you back in 3 to 5 business days. I'm like, no, I want to speak to someone today, right now. And then at the end of the call, it came out that her supervisor wasn't even there. She didn't even have a supervisor on call to transfer me to. Had she have said, my supervisor's not here today,
You would understood.
can I get them to call you back when she comes back? That would have ended the call right there. But instead, she wanted to hide that her supervisor wasn't there and she couldn't actually transfer my call. And she just was willing to disconnect my call and have a dissatisfied customer and probably get in trouble after they heard the call, because they do record these calls and they do go back and listen to them when the customers do call in to complain. But yeah, just if she would have called in, or she would have said, my supervisor's not here, I can't transfer you. I mean, that would have been fine.
Yeah.
But refusing to transfer and not saying why, that's a different story. And it takes your call a whole different direction.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yes. Well, I love that you guys are super chatty and sharing, and I think it makes it more fun. I think it makes it engaging. I thank you guys for staying with me until 8:48. I know it's a late night, and I realize that, and I appreciate it a ton. You guys are welcome to log off if you're ready. Log off if you want to ask me some more questions. Then by all means do it. But you guys have been so much fun. I appreciate you guys. a
Thank
ton.
you so much. It's
Thank
been a great
you.
class.
You're welcome.
Yeah, have a good night. I love
You
chit
too.
chatting too. Whoever said that, I'm a chit chatter. So
Have a good
Yeah,
night,
have-
ladies.
good
Ladies
night.
and gentlemen.
Ladies and
Bye.
gentlemen.
Yes.
Good night.
Have a wonderful night.
You too.